have you guys been? I mean, how's life? How's life, guys? That's an important.
Where are we broadcasting live from?
Oh wow, I am in New York City. And, you know, the city of dreams. You know what I'm saying? You know, I got a spot.
I actually
here.
just touched down in London. You know, so
Wow.
I'm actually
in exactly.
UK right now doing my UK.
I got one.
Wait, Nam, you're in Europe too? I'm in Paris.
Oh, you are?
Damn.
Oh, that's true. I forgot your. Look at all of us. New York, Patty, London. Like this is just
Old Town rolling for my projects. Ride till I can't. Little Nnamdi.
That's a bar. I don't care. That's a bar.
That's such okay. Wait, that is a bar. Okay, and like
it's just hilarious because it's bad. Yeah, nice.
Y'all in like 3 hours, the Weeknd's gonna do his NFT drop. That's gonna happen in a moment.
It's gonna happen.
Will he be dropping?
And 97 Demo proudly knows what NFTs are. Barry can definitely explain what an NFT is.
Well, we're gonna do an episode on
that. Yeah, like we're not gonna do it now, but like we can still do it.
But we could if we wanted.
Like we could if we
wanted to explain what an NFT was to everyone right now. Well, we totally could.
To somebody who doesn't know NFTs at all, can you guys explain? You know,
we'll say that for our episode. Actually,
yeah. Make sure to stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
That was actually a deep tease.
Oh, okay.
So let's
But we totally could if we wanted to. We could explain what an NFT is right now.
Okay, I mean, you say
so. But we don't want to spoil anything for our future episodes.
Exactly.
That's what you say.
Okay, I feel like this week feels like there's a lot of pressure on us to really deliver. Where we're talking about one of the greats, one of the best albums over the last year, if not, perhaps the best album of 2020
in some people's eyes.
There's a lot of build up to that.
Yeah.
But I decided I think we should start at least talking about the topic before 30 minutes in. Just a little like, here's what we're discussing. And we did a deep dive before for our OG listeners during our graduation episode with Kanye West. And
not like the Kanye West graduation album. You said graduation episode like we graduated.
Oh, okay, you're right. Kanye West graduation album episode.
Yeah, and graduation's coming. Graduation for some of us.
Graduation's coming.
Oh, that's another tease.
That's graduation's coming, but the graduation album deep dive was like episode 14.
Yeah, and we've like basically distinguished a deep dive is like it's not a review, it's more so of like an analysis or a reflection on the cultural impact of an album or just an album itself.
Yeah,
both.
Yeah.
So we're doing that with After Hours just because it's had a phenomenal year, and we as anyone who listens to this know we all enjoyed that album. So stay tuned for that. It's gonna be great. But welcome to the 97 Demo Podcast, where we give you the latest in music news, and a whole bunch along the way, including deep dives into great albums. I'm one of your hosts, Nnamdi Agwanwu, joined by my two friends,
Nnamdi
and Avery Dalal.
Wow, just the growth. You don't even know the growth you've already seen just from that. Okay. So let's get into headlines. This one is one that we didn't talk about really last week, and now we're kind of talking about it because I think it's sort of newsy. So Lil Nas X came out with his Satan shoes, which I are in fact I think what they're called. Which they took some Air Maxes. Or not like some black. What are these?
Yeah,
black
Air Max 97.
Okay, yeah. So some black Air Maxes. They put a drop of blood in them, and they put a little. What's the star thing? What's that called?
Some demonic.
The pentagram.
Demonic stuff.
Demonic stuff.
The
demonic
devil.
stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And he was gonna sell it. So how you feel about that personally? I think that just varies. I don't think we have to get into that.
Well, they did sell them because people have done reviews.
He sold 666 of them.
509, no, 665. The last one he was going to give away on Twitter.
Yeah, exactly. So
yeah.
You know what's interesting about this story is that this company, the people that did these Air Maxes, they did one for like a heaven shoe. It was like holy water shoe. So instead of blood, it was like Jesus. And it was it didn't have like the verse, but it had holy water.
It was like a drop of water from like the River Jordan or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. So
yeah, so they did these shoes, and now Nike first they sued them. that happened first because he was like, we're not. Actually, no. First, it was a statement. We have nothing to do with this. That was first. Like, Nike has not contributed to this at all. We don't know what this is. Then it was a lawsuit against the designer. They sued the designer for, I guess, and people do these to Nike shoes all the time. So people will get Nike shoes and sort of remix them, customize them, and they'll sell them. But I guess Nike, they were like, no, they went out of their way to say this is not us. And I don't blame them. I get why they did it. And now they've done another lawsuit and gotten a temporary restraining order, so you can't even sell the shoes anymore. So that's the end of. But I guess if they sold all the shoes they were gonna sell.
Yeah, that's my thing. It's not like they were gonna like make a bunch of these. Like, it was like a limited time thing. I don't know. I get Nike getting mad because they want to be associated with devil stuff. Like, I get that. But like at the end, it's like, creative expression or whatever.
It's a shoe. Like
the shoe is like but I get not want to be, the drop of blood is a little creepy in your shoes. Like, that's
you
not
just
all
want to
blood
make sure people know you're not associated with it. I feel like that's what Nike's.
Yeah, exactly. Because they're like, wow, you made it. I don't think exactly. You can't go to a board meeting and be like, hey, man, double shoe. It's like
these shoes are gonna go insane on the resale market, though.
I don't even think they're gonna be that crazy because not a lot of people are gonna have them. It's just like
I think that's why, though.
I don't know, bro.
There's so much controversy around them now.
I don't know. We gotta see. I got StockX I got the app.
Apparently they didn't even sell 666. They got to like, or at least they're saying they only got to like 600.
Oh, okay.
Wow. Okay. Well,
Lil Nas X.
Lil Nas X not listed as a defendant in the lawsuit. Well, I think maybe they sold out, but they hadn't like sent all of them.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, that's a good point. Because you can't really go to a store, really, so. But
I like, Lil Nas X is out here joking on Twitter because he's not listed as a defendant in this. Like, that's why this is funny to him. Like, he's like, okay.
Yeah, that's a good tweet.
Oh, I wish we could find the Chick-fil-A one.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one too.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Oh, he literally said it. Sorry, guys, I'm legally not allowed to give the 666th pair away anymore because of the crying nerds on the internet.
Yeah, I get him going at. He's not even going at Nike. He's just going on all the weirdos who are like, "Oh my gosh, how'd you release the shoe?" It's like, whatever. But who cares? So yeah. Well, Brockhampton has new music out. They're back finally, back and better than ever. And Kevin Abstract said he's, these final 2 albums are gonna be their last ever. Which is, what's so crazy? I'm tired of artists saying they're gonna do last albums because they rarely ever. The only people that retire are the people who don't actually say it. They just leave. But
no, but I put this in there because I could believe it. Like, I could believe it.
I don't believe that.
I saw someone on Twitter. So this is a Twitter sleuth. So, take it for what you want to take it, but point out that they signed a 5-album contract and 2 more albums will be their 5th albums. And I don't know if I wouldn't be surprised if some of the key players in Brockhampton were like, I'm kind of ready to go to do my own thing.
I honestly don't know because this one is gonna be like their 5th right now. I'm wondering when they signed that contract.
Actual album.
Yeah, actual albums they have out. Like, I don't know which one was like I don't know what label they're signed to. What label are they signed to? I don't know. I know RCA. It says sure. RCA Records. I guess their first album. So I guess Iridescence was the first one under RCA. I think I'm looking with the Saturation under RCA. No, it wasn't.
No, so I'm guessing, Iridescence was like their first like studio album, I think.
Right.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know if I'd be shocked if this. So would 2 more be 5?
Yeah, 2 more will be 5 with their like RCA deal. So yeah, I guess you're right.
So I mean, I don't know. I'm not sure I'd be that surprised if they were like, at least we're gonna take a break. Because look, Kevin Abstract has already done solo music. Matt, why can't I remember his name?
Matt Champion.
He's done solo music.
Yeah, it's just I never believe when people come on.
Amir Van's gone.
Yeah, he's not in the group.
So it's like,
Amir Van and Ravon. Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. I just feel like they're gonna be like a thing 5 years from now. It's like, hey, we're back. It's like,
yeah, they're probably just gonna like stop collaborating for a little while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they've been killing.
And like, kudos to them. They did start this just in like a chat room on the internet, not knowing any of these people. So for getting this far, kudos to you.
And their next album's being released in like a week, so I'm excited.
It looks review. Do we want to?
He said,
"I'd be down."
Got put on by Kanye West and I ain't met him yet. He said, "I got put on by Kanye West and I ain't met him yet." Yeah.
See, that's
Yeah,
crazy.
we should review it.
Do you want to?
No.
Because I'm afraid if it's not, if it.
What? Wait, what?
We should. Let's review it.
I'm down to do it.
I'm down to do it too.
Be off mic. Do y'all want us to review
gosh.
Brockhampton's album?
How about the next, off camera?
Oh, so this is something. So who sent this? I read up on this after I think Avery sent it to the Twitter chat.
Oh my goodness.
And this one was kind of crazy. Well, not crazy, but sad and kind of proud, maybe, of rappers.
This
Go
is
ahead.
interesting, actually.
Okay, so an Atlanta rapper named Ralo was arrested for drug trafficking, I believe marijuana, and is currently serving an 8-year bid. So Drake and several other, I think Drake is just the most prominent of this group, but a whole bunch of hip hop, rappers and stars. I believe like Killer Mike's a part of this, T.I., Meek Mill, and like Drake as I guess the biggest face of it. But they signed a letter to I think Biden and the Justice Department, basically advocating for his release, saying there are people who are now profiting off of marijuana and like there are whole entrepreneurs out here. But meanwhile, there's a lot of black men that are still locked up for the same charges. Granted, he did it. They do say like he made a mistake and he did this. I think they're just saying an 8-year bid for drug trafficking or marijuana when there are people who are now opening up shops and becoming like millionaires off of it. Let's think about it. So I don't know if Biden will do it, but I think having the weight of Drake, and this is other people here, Killer Mike, Deion Sanders, John Wall, Meek Mill, I think it's like it's who knows, maybe they'll give it a second glance. 2 Chainz, Lil Yachty, Waka Flocka. So a lot of Atlanta people have signed on to this. So
I don't know. Yeah, that's an interesting thing. Marijuana's become illegal in a lot of places now, and a lot of people brought up like, hey, if you guys are making marijuana legal and you're going to start profiting off it and you're going to be taxing it and making money on them, like the state is making money off of it. That's why it's become illegal, because people can make money. They feel like, they finally realized they can make money off marijuana. Who knew? And a lot of people feel like the people who were arrested or in jail or in prison for marijuana charges should be released now that it's legal.
Yeah.
I mean, if you were like, I don't know. Yeah.
I think one of the reasons I'm not optimistic that Biden would be the one to do this, or like, I guess, I don't know if they're asking for a pardon or commute, because the Biden White House just fired like 4 people for like weed history. Yeah. I don't know if that means like they failed a drug test once, or maybe they've been arrested for marijuana offenses, but like early, all indications suggest they're not like, super cool with it yet. So I don't know about the gate Biden would do it, but I could hope, I think, at least they could hope, that Ralo.
Yeah, I agree.
Early.
I agree.
Can see.
It feels like a good PR move for the administration if they just like wanted to, have some good PR.
And they kind of need one now.
Do it. Yeah, they just go ahead and do it. So if it becomes popular enough, I can see it happening, but we'll see.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. This could be the start of something, a groundswell.
Exactly.
Okay, new releases. We had a lot.
Actually, we didn't actually.
Well, I feel like we had some more high profile ones. My Spotify playlist like I had more, but I don't know if you'd listen to all of that stuff. But
I don't feel like we had like a lot. Yeah, okay, I got you. I think it was an okay week, I guess.
Demi Lovato put out an album. A couple new singles. Iggy Azalea's back. Roddy Ricch, Olivia Rodrigo, Brockhampton. This is another new song, or is it just from their album?
Brockhampton?
It's another new song.
Oh. Okay. And yeah, so.
Yeah, the album's not out yet, but Count on Me, Brockhampton. It was cool. It's really different from like the sound of like the last one, so I'm really interested, because although I like certain songs, like I think the project I like the most is Saturation 2, but like Brockhampton, they're really up and down. Like there's songs I really, really, really like, but the album's really inconsistent a lot of time. And that happens, when you have like 10 people in a group, but like it's really inconsistent for me, whether I like a song or not like it. So I don't know, they're hitting
it sounded good. There are 2 singles that sounded really good. It made me pretty hopeful for the album.
Yeah, it's just like they're so different in sound. It's like, how's it all gonna jump? So I don't know. I don't want it to be like Danny Brown. Like if they're gonna give me the Danny Brown single, like give me more of that rap stuff.
Well, they have a bunch of like really interesting features. Like Charlie Wilson's gonna be on the album. ASAP Rocky, ASAP Ferg.
Well, ASAP Rocky's
I'm
on
curious
the song.
what the direction's gonna be because of what the features are. I'm excited about that.
ASAP Rocky's on that song. Count on
Yeah.
me. These features. So yeah. So I don't know. We'll see. I listened to the Iggy Azalea tracks.
How were they?
They were not good, bro. I'm being serious. Like, I'm not even like trying to be funny. Like, they really weren't good.
No,
I really am wondering how she got away with like rapping like that. Well, she didn't. Nnamdi's right. Nnamdi told her.
but she didn't. But like, my thing is, we're not gonna call out. I stopped caring a lot about that when I saw the success of several other rappers who are clearly using a black scent. And
Like who?
6ix9ine is one that jumps to mind.
6ix9ine doesn't use a black scent. Okay. I'm not gonna. Okay.
You know these rappers get on these tracks.
Okay, no, I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this though. He raps, but it's not like, oh, he just sounds like a rapper. She has an English accent. She don't and then she raps like Southern.
Australian.
That's okay. I get, but okay, Australian accent, but you know, you get what I'm saying, okay? It doesn't matter. She has an Australian accent and change it. 6ix9ine is an American rapper that just raps, okay? He's just an American rapper that just raps, okay?
So what about rappers in London who rap like
They sound British. They sound British.
You know, I'm not giving you that.
British.
Like, I'm not signing off on that anymore. Maybe to what Avery said last week about justice, even though I feel different. You know, that's
totally. I'm talking about her
but
voice.
Like in all the things that people are doing in music right now, I'm not gonna weigh down Iggy Azalea for trying to put a little oomph in her voice so she raps. Okay.
Okay.
I'm not doing it.
Okay,
like I see why 2015 us would do that. But 2021, I'm not caring about that.
You know what's so crazy? I feel like in 2021 we'd actually do it because she's a white woman from Australia. That sounds like a Southern black woman. That sounds like mulatto. But okay, I'm not that mad.
Sound like, well, okay.
Yeah, bro, did you hear the song? Listen
I heard it when you played it. You played Sip It for us, and I did hear it.
Yeah, bro. It's first of all, the song sucks anyway. Okay, so I'm sorry. We gave Iggy way too much attention.
You know, Iggy, if you hear this, I don't know what
we're proud of you. We're proud of you. Congratulations on being a mom. I hope you and Playboy Cardi are doing well. That's the baby daddy. That you know.
Y'all know who does deserve the attention this week?
Who?
My girl Olivia Rodrigo. Have you guys listened to
I heard
song?
Deja Vu. That was good.
It is so good. She's giving me like big like Lord vibes.
Who's the other? Isn't there a featured artist on that song?
No,
Did she do it with another? Her. Oh, and the video is it too different?
I didn't watch the video.
I feel like I saw the video, and I thought there was two. I don't know. I thought it was two. I didn't know, but it was good. I did like that song.
Yeah, the fact that she's released like only 2 songs so far, like solo.
They've both been good. But when you said great. Those 2 songs are enough to make you think you're getting Lord vibes.
Just this one. This one gave me like Lord vibes.
Y'all, so I just want to back to that Brockhampton headline. Apparently, this is their 6th studio album.
No. I'm saying since with RCA, with their I'm talking about
RCA. Okay, great. Great. Okay.
Actually, on Apple Music Premium, they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is their 7th. This would actually be their 7th project because they have All American Trash too. But this is I think this would, they have 3 with RCA. So this is gonna be their 3rd one with RCA because before they were like solo, independent, I would say. But now Iridescence was their first studio major label release. Just to clear that up. Big Boss Rabbit, Freddie Gibbs. I guess he's running with the rabbit theme, with his music. I like this song too.
It's good.
Good. So,
he's very consistently good.
Exactly, he's very consistent. That's all I can ask.
It's all like really great music. So
that's all I can ask.
Shouts out to Freddie.
Good music is all we want. That's all we really want.
Okay, and then Silk Sonic already out with the live version of a song that they put out 3 weeks ago. I'm cool with that.
Hey, any more opportunities to listen to that song? I'm in.
Let me just put the album, honestly.
Okay. I do want the album. When that comes out, we're definitely reviewing it. But okay, I think it's time for what I'm sure will be a very fruitful conversation that I teased earlier in the show. But I think 2 weeks ago or so was the 1 year of After Hours.
1 year anniversary.
Yeah. 1 year anniversary of After Hours coming out, and it is honestly, it was 2020's one of its best-selling, one of its most acclaimed, and honestly still one of its most awarded, despite the obvious snub, albums. And in my opinion, one of the Weeknd's, I won't say my favorite, but I will say I think it is his best album. I think it's put together very, very well. I don't know if we all agree with that, but we'll get into that later too. And we when we have albums that we really, really like, and we have a little moment to celebrate it, we like to do these deep dives where we just kind of focus in on the album and sort of reflect on its full impact and our thoughts on it. And that's what we're doing here. For me, I wanted to start with how we were brought into this album. For those who don't remember, this was, I believe, one of the first albums to come out post in a pandemic world. Like,
Well,
I think he delayed it at some point, and then he like he pushed it back a little bit, then he put it out. And my vivid memory of this album was a whole bunch of other artists were like just starting to postpone their stuff. And I was wondering, is he still going to put this out? He came out March 20th. So, you know, by then they declared this a pandemic. A lot of artists had started changing their plans. And this was the one artist who was big that at least pushed forward and said, I'm just going to drop it. And it was a good idea. He had 221 million streams, 275K sold, and had literally amazing reviews. Granted, this, as this headline points out, some of his sales were due to bundles, which, you know, isn't a thing anymore. And a tour that had to be postponed, you know, so kudos. But there's no denying that, like, when After Hours dropped, it like landed. It made a huge impact, you know.
I definitely have to say, even before that, when I'm thinking about when he released, because I think the first single was Heartless. That was the first single.
Yeah.
And then, but I think
I remember feeling iffy with Heartless.
Well, Heartless was cool when you first said, but then I think the one when it hit was when Blinding Lights came out. And we got to talk about that, because when Blinding Lights came out, it was everywhere. Because that was before pandemic. That was like November time. That was November. So
yeah, but I want to even get back to what you just said about Heartless, because that was the lead single. And I remember when they dropped Heartless, I kind of didn't know how to feel about the album, because I'm not the one song on that album that I've always felt like I don't have to listen to is Heartless for me. So when that first came out, I know, unpopular opinion maybe. So when that first came out, I was like, ooh, I don't know what I'm making on this. It was giving me too much of Starboy. And like, I was like, I'm not like, you know, what is this about to be? But to your point, but Blinding Lights, you know, when that came, it was like, okay, we know this is gonna be a great album. But what did y'all think of Heartless? And looking back, did it make sense as being a lead single? Like, is that what you would have picked?
What do you think, Avery? I don't know.
I think so. Like, I was never huge on The Weeknd prior to this album. I could never really get into Trilogy. I liked his, you know, more poppy stuff. I liked singles off Beauty Behind the Madness and Starboy. So I was never like huge on The Weeknd. And then when he released Heartless, I was like, oh, that's another cool song. Like, I like The Weeknd. He's cool. I was never like, oh my God, this album. That's what the song that made me think like, oh my God, The Weeknd's doing it, was when he released After Hours as a single.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, like that song was so good when I first heard it. So the Heartless, to me, like, I don't know if I necessarily would have chosen it for like the lead single. But yeah, I feel like if he went Blinding Lights like first, that could have been
right.
So
But that would have been huge. I think maybe he wanted to save it because we knew it was gonna be like. Yeah. I think he knew that that you know, Blinding Lights was the song. Yeah, you know, but even to that point, the single selection I feel on this album was really good as well. Yeah. Like, you had Heartless, Blinding Lights, which, by the way, those were released 2 days from each other. That's one thing we're forgetting. He released Heartless on like and then a Tuesday, and then Blinding Lights, or like it was somewhere where it was like there were 2 days apart, but they charted on 2 different weeks because they both hit #1. Yeah, like Heartless hit #1. I think it debuted there, and then Blinding Lights
came, and then it was there for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know, kind of like Avery. I'm not as much because I actually like Weeknd projects, but like I'm not like a stan, but definitely a fan of those early projects. Like definitely House of Balloons. I always say that's my favorite one. Not all those projects in the trilogy are my favorite. Kissland was not really. That's Weeknd's worst project to me, Kissland. And then Beauty Behind the Madness, I was a really big fan of. I really love that project. That was like the perfect blend of him doing the pop R&B thing. Because, you know, House of Balloons was him all the way R&B. Beauty Behind the Madness was like a good middle ground. Starboy, who was going all the way there, and that's not my favorite. I don't think it's bad, but it's just not like my lane. And, you know, My Dear Melancholy was a cool little EP. You know, I thought it was fine. Yeah, Starboy, it wasn't really my lane, but it was definitely good music, and people really did enjoy that album. So going into this album, it kind of feels like he even leaned further into that. Kind of even to like the pop songs you heard on, like, I Can't Feel My Face on Beauty Behind the Madness. It kind of like, I feel like he went to that lane even more so on this album.
As our resident TikTok correspondent, I should also point out that Blinding Lights was one of the bigger trends, I guess, at the start of the pandemic. When that song released, that had a pretty big TikTok trend behind it as well.
And something else I do have to talk about too is visually this album. The music videos that came out from it, because obviously that's like what makes it awesome, because he's been this character he's been this character since, like, every time you see him publicly, he's doing something with that persona. And especially with the Blinding Lights video. Is that the Blinding Lights video where he's like, yeah, exactly, like that album, that song visually has really got what,
it's basically what he recreated at the Super Bowl.
Recreated himself, and that's when
I feel like you're directing us in so many places that we could like dig into. And so like I'm like, I don't know if I want to respond to the growth of the Weeknd, Starboy music videos, or like the Super Bowl performance.
Let's get into it. Let's go.
All like, because to your point about the evolution of the Weeknd, I feel like After Hours made perfect sense.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, just thinking about his projects beforehand, you can see like, I love talking about the Weeknd's growth because you can see it so clearly. Like his first studio album being Beauty Behind the Madness, he's coming from this R&B background where he really leaned into that, but he did have some sort of like
moody R&B. Yeah,
it was moody R&B. It wasn't your traditional R&B. Yeah. So when you came out with Beauty Behind the Madness, songs like Earned It and Acquainted and The Hills, like those kind of made sense because of where the Weeknd was coming from, because those were still R&B and that was his bag. What was different at the time were his pop things, like Can't Feel My Face. The one thing I remember about that song was a conversation being like, I don't think I've seen the Weeknd step this heavily into pop before, because all the other singles are R&B. Like Earned It is R&B. Often it was kind of R&B. What else was it?
Tell Your Friends. Tell Your Friends.
Yeah, just even the other tracks on there. Tell Your Friends were more R&B. Like I think Can't Feel My Face was the first like, the Weeknd put out a pop song.
And that was a big one.
In the Night too. I'd say In the Night, that also was.
Can't Feel My Face is the one that really took Weeknd to the pop level, like the huge pop star. Yeah. Like people knew who Weeknd was.
It was a smash, and all his singles from that album were smashes.
Smashes too.
Earned It was number one. The Hills was number one. Can't Feel My Face was number one. In the Night, I think, was very close. I don't know if it actually got to number one, but the point being, like, he was getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Before, what year was that? Before 2015.
That was 15.
When I was about to say 11. What?
Beauty Behind the Madness
2015. The Weeknd was more so known as like the Toronto writer. I feel like he worked with Drake. He put out his own stuff, but like real fans knew his stuff, but like he wasn't nearly as known.
Not nearly
the pop that string of singles with his debut album was just, it did it for him. And then he puts out Starboy, which
he's really a pop star now.
So, and here's the thing about Starboy, and I feel how I feel about it. I feel like he took Can't Feel My Face and he leaned all the way into that sort of like pop. It was a style I wasn't shocked when I heard Starboy, because it just sounded like a more EDM synthy version.
That's what I was gonna say.
Some of the pop tracks he was doing. And I liked it. I'm one of the very few people that like actually really enjoyed Starboy. A lot of people, I think it's because it was such a jarring transition for some of his older fans who liked R&B Weeknd to have that, then just, hit us with this song and this album that is so heavily pop, even though there was a solid half of that album still is R&B, hip hop, rap type stuff.
Yeah.
But it very much so was more definitively pop than his older work.
I don't know, Avery, tell me how you feel. I would say a lot of the Weeknd purists, is that the word, or Weeknd stans, or people who like day one, day one's whatever you want to call them. I wouldn't say that's their favorite project. But I would definitely say,
definitely not favorite.
I would definitely Starboy is one for a lot of the newer fans. I would say, like, Avery, I know you weren't like, oh my gosh, Starboy, but did you enjoy that project? Like, wow, I can kind of get into this a little bit more.
I think like that's when I started getting into the Weeknd, but I think also just like that's because he had more exposure at that point. Like he was just popular at that point. Like you couldn't avoid his songs on the radio. You couldn't avoid his look on Twitter or something. You know, it wasn't just the songs; it was the hair and it was the
hair. Well, I think Starboy's when he cut it though. Remember?
He cut his hair though, but that was the moment. That was the moment.
I remember he had a performance where wasn't he using like a cross, like a neon cross?
Yeah, that was crazy.
And I'm pretty sure in the Starboy music video, he like kills his old self. Like that's something. That's like in the plot.
That's the Starboy. The lead single.
The artistry that we saw in After Hours was being that was born. I feel developed in Starboy. It was developed. Well, it was born earlier, but it was very much so developed during Starboy, and that's why I love Starboy. I love all sides of it. I love how it gives you moody R&B, but it also gives you alternative R&B with songs like Party Monster. I love the Lana Del Rey interlude. That's their Stargirl interlude. Some of the things that are more underrated. And then even its single selection, I love the Starboy was honestly one of the singles I wasn't the biggest fan of.
What was the one?
I Feel It Coming, Party Monster, Reminder, Rockin', Die For You, Secrets, all great pop songs.
Die For You is awesome.
Yeah. What's the song where he has the music video with every rapper's in it? Where he's like YG's in it, ASAP, Drake's in it.
Is it 6 Feet? That was like I think that
he's like he's singing, but he's rapping the whole time basically. But I forgot. It's a long song.
Oh, he also had that track with Lana Del Rey, who like at that point.
Oh no! You're talking about Reminder.
Yeah.
Which was like the one that was like the one, like not pop single released, like from that album.
So
I remember feeling validated hearing the Lana Del Rey song because I was like, she's kind of like the female version of The Weeknd at that time. Like they sang the same stuff.
Yes.
And then he validated it by calling it the Stargirl interlude.
Yes, I remember that. I remember that too. But so I feel like the growth from that album, that was probably The Weeknd's biggest jump. I feel the Beauty Behind the Madness to Starboy jump.
I feel like Kissland, the Beauty Behind the Madness, and then I think because then at that point, after Beauty Behind the Madness to Starboy, he's established pop star now. You know?
No. I'm not saying fame wise. I'm saying as far as like
creative wise,
like taste wise, like that was the biggest change
sonically.
Sonically,
okay, I got you.
The Beauty Behind the Madness to Starboy jump, because that was like he no longer was this like moody R&B king.
I agree with that.
This pop dude, and he still was doing some hip hop stuff, but he was this pop dude. So to go from this to After Hours, it's the perfect it was like another trilogy in itself. I feel Beauty Behind the Madness to Starboy to After Hours. At least sonically, it almost feels like a trilogy because you hear it now develop into this full-fledged weird R&B pop, a super kind of really poppy album that's hard to categorize but like makes sense for The Weeknd. It contains all these elements we heard before, you know what I mean? Like it makes sense to me.
So we get to After Hours.
So I don't necessarily want to talk about how much because we've already talked about what songs you like, you know, how much we love the album and stuff like that. I kind of want to talk about
there's room for that again.
Well, of course there's room for that again, but I don't want to get into like, oh my gosh.
I'm sorry. No, before, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off, but we missed an album in that whole thing we were doing.
What?
My Dear Melancholy. That
kind of I said the EP. I said the EP. I said he was.
EP. True, it was an EP. I don't feel bad anymore. Okay, let's go. Sorry.
I mentioned that. Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. People like to forget that anyway. Okay. And that was another anniversary too. A couple weeks ago, he tweeted. He did the IG of that. But I was saying that with After Hours, I kind of want to talk about the response because we do have to talk about, him releasing it during COVID. Not during COVID, but like right before COVID. Like
no, y'all want to know
it was during COVID.
Y'all want to know what my memory of this
album was during COVID. Yeah, it was during. It was like the first week.
This was the day. The day this album came out was the day that we were told we had to leave India. So my memory of this album is packing up, listening to this album, going to the airport, boarding the plane, and I downloaded it so I could listen to it on the plane. And I listened to it like 3 times in a row. I was like, "This is incredible."
Awesome. Well, because it was awesome, but it's awesome.
That's kind of a sad memory, but I mean, it speaks to like, hey, I may have been upset, but that album
was so good. I listened to the opening track like 2 times in a row before I even got to the rest of the album.
Well, it's cool to listen to to have an album and connect it to a memory because it makes it that much more impactful. But that's what I'm talking about. Like the fact that he releases during a pandemic which at that point a lot of people were pushing back. I remember Big Sean said he was gonna release his album like months before that.
Big Sean took forever.
It took forever. I can't think of any artist off the top of my head.
I feel like Drake released something. This Drake album was supposed to come out last year.
I feel like Drake was actually.
Lady Gaga pushed back an album.
Lady Gaga and stuff like that.
There was some R&B artists that pushed back their album. No, Kehlani came out with her still.
It was smart of Abel to do what he did, just because like no one else was coming out at that time. It was like, oh, we got like something to listen to.
Well, yeah, there was no competition really at that point, and
only a big artist could have done that. Like only a big artist could have said like, I don't care about the pandemic. Let's just still put it out.
Exactly. You know? But I definitely feel like he should be commended for that. Not commended. He didn't do anything special. Like he didn't, save anybody. But he definitely, I'll give him credit for that. Props. Props. Exactly. Props. I don't want to give him, you didn't save us, Weeknd. You would have died. He made the vaccine.
We're still in the pandemic.
We're still in the pandemic. But no, yeah, I definitely feel like Weeknd doing that. It's definitely you have to give him props for that. And TikTok. I mean, I'm not saying he's the part that made TikTok bigger, but that song, I feel like for me, definitely
that song came out at the perfect time because that's when TikTok blew up. Like
it was
like people had nothing else to do but be on TikTok.
And then Blinding Lights.
But you know what's weird that I just realized? Blinding Lights and Heartless came out months before the album. I didn't realize it was such a long gap.
Yeah.
They came out November, like Thanksgiving, November 27th, 29th is when they each dropped.
Yeah.
And then the album came out March 30th. So there was like a substantial gap, but those two songs were enough to sort of just like make us feel okay with waiting, I guess.
Yeah, because before 2019, his first, Starboy came out in 2016, I think.
After Hours came out February, yeah.
Yeah, so it was a minute. It was a minute. So him dropping the album during the during the pandemic is really interesting. Then and then him, he announced a tour, and then obviously it's pushed back.
They note in this article that like a lot of he sold well, but like he did it with some bundles that were for a tour that most people knew by then it was going to be postponed. By March 30th, you had an idea of the fact that like
you did sell because I have the album.
We were declared a global pandemic. So people knew, but a lot of people still bought tickets. To my point, that only a big artist could have really pulled that off. I did. Avery's a witness.
Well, to kind of go off like this does not have to do with the Weeknd, but a lot of people thought the pandemic was going to be over.
He did bundle it, see?
Yeah, people thought the pandemic was going to be over in a couple of months, and he probably did. Nobody really knew. People really underestimated the power of this.
But there were enough people to be scared because, like we said, all those delays were happening.
Yeah, exactly.
But I mean, what do you guys think of? I think one thing that I always use for this album as a flex is that it almost immediately did receive not only commercial success but critical acclaim too. Mm-hmm. Like it was such a well-rounded album that everyone loved. The critics were loving it. It was for a while it was the number one on Metacritic until that people started weighing it down. But I mean, like even now I think it has like an 80 or 85. Like it was very overwhelmingly enjoyed. Avery just put up this complex article about how many just speaking to the commercial behemoth of an album this was, because it I believe if you scroll down, Blinding Lights is like 7 times platinum. It's like Save Your Tears and all the singles at this point I think are like at least platinum. The album itself is like inching toward his diamond status. Like it's a very successful piece,
And something else I want to talk about too. This album really made me interested in Weeknd the person more. Like him on like the social media, and because the Weeknd I always feel like has been very I don't know the guy, but I don't know him. Okay, I can't text him, but he just feels really what's the word? I don't want to say not shy, but he's not the most outgoing person. He's really soft spoken, really reserved from what you get. You know what I'm saying? And this album, I feel like on social media especially, you kind of saw him break out his shell in a sense of him being more active and just him being more, responsive to fans, interacting with fans,
There was like a 5-month period of silence before, like he did a social media blackout and then just hit us with like.
Yeah, but I'm saying in general, like even when he has music, he's not the most like, hey guys, I'm here. Hey, Weeknd, I'm gonna pop on live and play this music. Like, he was really, I feel like he was kind of, getting in the interact, and even, with the personality of him on like because sometimes we hear the thing about Weeknd is like, wow, Weeknd has this beautiful voice and his music he sounds sad, but he's talking about treating women like trash, on Beauty Behind the Madness, stuff like that. And this, in the music videos, he's more outgoing. He's more of this character that's walking around drunk and high in Las Vegas
is that
with the afro, you know?
Prior to this album, I like as a casual fan of The Weeknd, I was like, oh, he has like, it's a stage name. I never thought it was something else. And then this is the album that made me realize this is like a Slim Shady-esque like alternate ego or alternate person.
And he committed to it.
The Weeknd and Abel are two different people, and that's what made me really realize that on this album.
Yeah, and even Starboy, people say, no, in the music video, it was like, yeah, no, that's different though. He was just like, yeah, I'm the Weeknd, I'm a Starboy, I'm a...
No, it starts on Starboy. The narrative we're seeing now, I think, starts on Starboy.
For sure,
like, kills that character, kills the old.
But he definitely took it to a different level. He definitely took it to a different level.
And this one, in the music video, he's going through a transformation with the surgery.
Exactly. Absolutely.
Like, by the end of it, by this time we get to the Super Bowl, he's a different person than he was at the beginning of this album.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And one day when y'all are bored, just sit down and like watch all the videos from like even Beauty Behind the Madness, and you will see this narrative play out in front of your eyes. Like, it's a very well thought out thing. I feel like he's gonna hit us with like, oh, I feel like those were like a trilogy in itself eventually at some point. Because it really is like, I feel like I see the growth. And some people call this like a reinvention for him, and I don't think it was a reinvention. I think it was just this like continued growth, character
evolution, right?
That he was doing, an evolution,
Yeah, I don't feel like he did something that was so like, wow, I'm surprised he did this. I didn't feel like it came out of left. I feel like this is, like you said, just like a natural artist growing. Yeah.
Within this larger arc of these three albums, there's a narrative on the album itself.
Yeah,
like a contained narrative of a girl cheating on him.
That gets lost.
And then he goes and cheats on her. And then he goes to like rehab. He's like, I'm gonna be better. And only to be like, no.
Tell us, for our fans watching, all 6 of them, tell us like where those narratives are. Like, because they're all play out in videos, right?
Right.
So it's like, when we're introduced in heart, like I know In Your Eyes is a significant piece of that story pie,
right.
But like,
that's like the redemption one, right? Like, In Your Eyes, like, he wants to he wants to be good with her again, but then he goes to Save Your Tears, and then the last one's Until I Bleed Out. He dies at the end, right?
We talked about justice and how that's all written for Haley. The Weeknd wrote a whole album about Bella Hadid, and most people don't even know this is a whole album about Bella Hadid, and that's just how you're supposed to do it. Like, it's just, like, he has said that like that was it, or it's just understood that like she was sort of the muse for this album.
Well, I definitely never feel like I don't think that's, well, I agree with that, because My Dear Melancholy was like right after he finished dating, was he dating Selena Gomez? Mm-hmm. Was that her? Yeah, I mean, that album was for her. That album, it felt like right after that breakup. So The Weeknd is never, I don't think he's gonna like say her name on it.
But it never feels like you're listening to like, because they're not love songs by any means.
No, but they're definitely like, they're definitely pouring his emotions out though.
Yeah, a lot of the non-singles, honestly, like just from the get-go, Alone Again is the first song. Like, I don't know if I can be alone again. I don't know if I can be alone again. Like it. Too Late is the next. It's too late to save your soul again. Like, it's so much of it is about like, is definitely about someone else. But
that gets lost too because how good the music is,
Yeah, but that's how it should be subtle. The subtlety is what makes it so great, in my opinion.
You have to like it. You have to like the song, and then you're like, oh, the messages in it. Not the messages, but like what he's talking about. He's not saving anybody's life, but he might be. I don't know.
That's oh my god.
Maybe.
That's why
But another big piece of this pie, of course, and we've touched on it a lot. I know you're going. Is the Grammys.
The Grammys.
Of which
I was just about to get there.
He slided in one of his music videos as well when he was holding the trophy and threw it off the stage. He himself, he said that like, I did everything right. I shook the right hands. I went to the dinners. I did all this stuff only to get snubbed by the Grammys.
And he definitely, and he said in interviews, and I feel like he said it a lot of times, he feels like, I don't know if he said his favorite, but I think he said, this is my best album. He said, I think this is my best album.
He said it's
my most perfect.
Right?
Yeah, my most perfect album. I don't know if he said it's his favorite, because I feel like that's two different things. Because I could see this being his best, but it's not my favorite. Like,
you guys know how strongly I feel about this Grammy situation, because I get his point. He did everything right. Mm-hmm. This is on the same level of like, this is a Lemonade level snub, but even they didn't snub Lemonade like this. Like, but it feels
Lemonade got nominated.
Same way of like, there's just no justification for it. And 25 was a great album, but for me, it's like, there's no justification
this isn't a snub. This is them ignoring the Weeknd. They didn't nominate him.
There's no excuse. Like I don't know how you can say this institution works and also say like, or this system of awarding works and also say that this album somehow got completely shunned. Yeah. I mean, even if it's not, you have to remember how many categories there are. You know, I've given them a bone and said, okay, this album is so ambiguous as far as its genre goes that it may be hard to, you know, say it's a pop or it's an R&B. Even if I give them that, why there's no excuse Blinding Lights or isn't nominated for Record of the Year, After Hours is nominated for Record of the Year, Song of the Year, and this as a whole Album of the Year. There's no excuse from not being nominated for Best Music Video, considering the stories he was telling with these videos. I can't think of anyone else who, I don't even remember who ultimately won that award. I don't know if I want to know.
What?
Best Music Video at the Grammys.
Oh yeah, exactly.
But there's so many other things, like other categories that he should have been recognized in, and to get completely snubbed. I understand his anger.
Yeah. It felt like after the nominations came out, and you know, he did his whole thing on social media about, you know, him just being disappointed and going at the Grammys, and then he had the part in the music video that I mentioned a little earlier. It felt like after that, the sights shifted towards the Super Bowl, which we knew was coming. We knew he had a Super Bowl performance in the works. And it felt like that was going to cap off this like incredible year for him where he was going to win the Grammys. He had the critical success. People loved the album. And then it was going to be like capped off with.
That was going to be the perfect year. That's like the perfect year for an artist. Like,
it'd be like winning the national championship in college and having the player of the year, right? Like,
and then you won MVP. And
hit the game winning shot. Like moment. But then it felt like, okay, this is going to be the Weeknd's moment. Like the Super Bowl is going to be his moment, and he delivered. Like it was awesome. The farther we get away from it, the more I like it.
Well, let me before we get to the Super Bowl, I think we can't underestimate the importance of like the Grammy snub, because you know a lot of and the importance of like us and like fans. It's not a difference because we still love the album. Like I don't think it's not gonna take away from how good the album was. But like
I think it hurts him more than it hurts us.
It definitely hurts him more than it hurts us. But I definitely feel like this album is still great. Like it's gonna be remembered, you know, in a positive way. Because I feel like it's a really timeless album. I just feel like the sound is a timeless album.
It's gonna become part of his lore, I think.
That's the thing. Well, that's the thing. Is it gonna hurt his? You know, because it's not gonna hurt his legacy for us. But like people are gonna look like, oh, he didn't win a Grammy for it.
No,
then,
you guys, that's what
the people who were there.
Always be a smear on the Grammys versus a smear on.
I agree.
At least in my eyes.
I agree.
Like I will for years to come, as a barometer of how much has the Grammys changed, remember this incident as like such an example of how much needs to change.
Yeah.
Because it is there's no, I feel there's just no excuse for an album that was this widely praised. The truth of the matter is, Avery, to your point, the site shifted to the Super Bowl, but before that whole weekend, that month was supposed to be his month.
No pun intended.
The idea was, remember, it wasn't the Super Bowl initially the week before the Grammys. So it's supposed to be like he gives this amazing show at the Super Bowl, and then next week he wins a Grammy, like he sweeps the Grammys for After Hours. Like that was supposed to solidify this moment for him. Because truth be told, and you've had other artists say this was his year. Yeah, Drake co-sign and say After Hours should have been like, that was the best album this year. Yep. You know, like, and you know, what's been so interesting to me, during the actual Grammy weekend, you had artists like Cardi B, not really directly call out the Weeknd, but say like, you know, people, you know, not everyone gets nominated when they want to, and you know, you shouldn't take away from this moment for the artists that were nominated. And that's sort of a piece that we've never really touched on. Like, do you think the Weeknd saying what he said about the Grammys and saying the Grammys are corrupt and, you know, there's not transparency, they have secret committees, all of which are things we've heard from other people, including one person used to be the former president of the company, because remember, it is a company, it's a nonprofit
organization.
Do you think that there's a point to Cardi B saying that, like, you know?
I think there's a way, because Weeknd never said artists that got nominated weren't deserving. He never said that. He never was like, okay, some of the artists that got nominated. He never said that. He just talked about him. So I feel like it's the same way when like people are like, you know, I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know. It's just. I don't think Weeknd never was saying anything about the artists like, oh my gosh, they weren't deserving some of the albums. I think he was just like, what about me? He just wants an explanation on himself. He just wants.
But like they've given him an explanation on himself.
Well, I get, but I don't think that takes away from the other nominees though.
But I do want to, and Avery, before you answer this, I want to throw a bone because I don't want to let him off the hook that easy. You know, like if I was nominated for a Grammy, and then you have one of the biggest artists out saying, "Oh, well, the Grammys are corrupt." Does that in fact take away from the moment? Like we can agree with the Weeknd.
But what's the moment? Like the Grammys or his moment? What do you mean? Like what's
well, I mean the moment for all these other artists. Like if I'm like a Meg, right, and I get nominated for the first time for 3 awards, and you have one of the biggest artists out right now saying, "Oh, well, this system's corrupt." Does that sort of kind of take away from other people? I feel like devil's advocate should be played here. Avery, what do you think?
I mean, I think over the years, we've talked about this before too on previous episodes, but over the years we've seen artists like take hits at the Grammys and not even just like smaller ones, like some of the biggest ones, like Drake at the Grammys, was saying like, this isn't everything. And he won. So this was kind of like building up. And, I think The Weeknd is someone who's very well respected, very well liked. And I don't know if it takes away from anyone else, but it definitely like, I think there's more nuance to it than just like, it doesn't matter anymore or it's losing its prestige. I think like, the artist who won it, congrats, that's awesome. You deserved it. But at the same time, you have to recognize like they didn't recognize everyone who could have been nominated.
I agree totally because like you said, to my point, like to your point, kind of remember you said Meg still had a moment and people were really still happy for her. People were like, oh my gosh, Meg got Artist of the Year and the best new artist,
Meg won 3 Grammys.
That was a big moment for Meg. Nobody said, oh, Meg was that moment was tainted because of this. Like, I think
it's just
like both can be true. The Beyonce, even though Beyonce only won an award, that's a whole nother thing. But like only won 1 award, she has some, people are, oh my gosh, Beyonce.
Yeah, she won the music video and something else.
Exactly. Yeah. Like so like I don't think the moment was totally tainted for other artists. I think it's just.
I think it has to be said. Like now that on the other side of that, I do think it needs to be said because I do think this album shows that there is some change that needs to be made because this being snubbed is big. I'm looking at, and The Weeknd can rest happy because, the Grammys may have not acknowledged him, but almost he was acknowledged in other places. Like I'm looking at some of these year-end lists for him. The Atlantic said it's in their 16 best album. Billboard put it at number 3. Complex put it at number 1. Entertainment Weekly put it at number 2. Like High Snobiety. Yeah, put it at number 4. Insider number 3. So like a lot of people acknowledged Rolling Stone put it at 32, and I'm still mad because that was criminally low. But Uproxx put it at 2. Variety number 4. Like The Weeknd got his flowers. It's just sad that this institution that's looked at as like the most acclaimed is just ignored him. Like it's wrong.
Yeah.
So be like, y'all, it didn't win.
We know.
Wait, I'm confused. So has it not been nominated? So maybe it wasn't in the category for.
You talking about the VMAs?
For because I'm like,
I don't think it got nominated
for anything.
Did it get nominated in the VMAs? I don't remember. I feel like I think it did, but it didn't win. Because I think actually we did a whole thing about it. Remember, we like, hey guys, who's gonna win the VMA? Music of the video of the year. He's like, I think Weeknd, but he's not gonna get it. When we were like, I think he's gonna, because we were like, I think somebody else is gonna get it. So
wait, y'all, just wait.
I don't think he got. I don't think he got anything, bro.
You guys, no. There's no. If the VMA,
he didn't get it. He didn't.
You will let me check.
He didn't, bro.
The Weeknd won Video of the Year for Blinding Lights.
Oh, he did.
I knew. I was like, there's no way they like snubbed the. Lady Gaga won Artist of the Year. I was happy with this. Is what we didn't talk about.
MTV. It's more fan votes anyway, right? It's more fan.
Oh, anyone best R&B for Blinding Lights.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So he grabbed a couple.
So we should probably wrap up. I think we're approaching an hour. But
yeah.
My final question, I guess, is a year and 2 weeks later, what is the legacy of this album? A year and 2 weeks later, what does it do for the Weeknd for you? What are you excited to see? What's going
on? For me, I mean, I don't want to get all deep. It's just a really good album, honestly. It's just a really well put together album, and that's respected because I'm not gonna, there's a lot of good music out there. I'm not gonna say like, I love a lot of music and everything like that, but in terms of artistically, this was an exceptional album, really an exceptional album. Everything through the thought process of, the the singles he put out to the visuals and the music videos, the character that he's been portraying for the past year and in a couple of weeks now. He's still in that character mold. And I just feel like he took a step, and honestly, just being more out there on social media. I see him posting and he's tweeting a lot. I just feel like this is Weeknd's coming out party in terms of his personality. I know that's a small thing, like him tweeting. It's like whatever. But
you're right though.
It just feels like he's coming into his own. Really, he's made music. He's been comfortable, but I feel like he's really coming into his own. It's like, I feel like I'm a 10-year vet in this game.
Mm-hmm.
He's like hitting his prime. Like he's just getting into his prime. It feels like.
Yeah. And he really is a 10-year vet. People don't give The Weeknd his. I don't think that a lot of people understand.
Well, he is a 10-year vet. Yeah, he is. Yeah, exactly. So, and he's still a young guy. So, yeah, man. And Weeknd.
No,
potential is crazy with it.
Yeah.
What about you, Nnamdi?
Well, yeah. Okay. So for me, there's just so many ways to answer this question. Like I said, if you talk about legacy, before I even get to the impact this album had on me, I messed up his certifications before it, but like the sales, 1, the album itself is 2 times platinum. After Hours, In Your Eyes, Save Your Tears, all platinum. Blinding Lights, 7 times platinum, about to be diamond in a couple. So the numbers speak for themselves on one level, but also it's like for The Weeknd's catalog, After Hours is his most perfect album. Like he said, it is a perfect blend of pop and R&B. He's creative on it. He's stylistic. He's artistic. Like the songwriting. I'm a sucker for depressing lyrics under great production, and that's what this album delivers. I didn't even get to our favorite songs. I wanted to talk about strength. I wanted us to touch on strengths to the album too, but like I think about my favorite song, like Faith. Like that is an amazing song that speaks to amazing songwriting and production. After Hours, same way. Blinding Lights, same way. So that's the biggest strength on this album, that even the deluxe version of those 3 extra songs, like they're not like Final Lullaby and like those 3, like those to me, if even your deluxe songs are great and have that same great production, great lyrics, like that just shows you how strong the album was. So I think this album solidified for The Weeknd his global appeal, his talent, and it put him up there in my opinion. Like if Starboy didn't have him there, let's say it's the difference for me between Drake and Bruno Mars. Like I feel like Starboy before may have been brought The Weeknd to a Bruno Mars level where he was like, okay, he's big, but After Hours just made him, even with his Grammy snub, to me, put him up there with the highest of the highest, the biggest of the biggest artists. Like I put the Weeknd is in the Drake club in my head now. And I think
Bruno Mars already had a Weeknd halftime show. I mean, I have.
He did, but I know Bruno Mars has the numbers, but when I think about impact, do you put Bruno Mars in the same category as Drake?
I mean, I don't think anybody's in the same level as Drake.
But that's like as far as success goes,
I think Bruno Mars is there, especially with this past album.
I just don't feel it. I don't know why. I know he's there. Yeah, I know he's there, but I just don't.
Okay. He just released a single with Anderson .Paak. We love Anderson .Paak, but that album was a #1 single because Bruno Mars was on the track. Because I would not, if that was just Anderson .Paak, we would have loved it. That album, that song would not have been #1. That album, that song was #1 because of Bruno Mars. Will we all agree here?
Yeah, that's probably true. Yeah, but anyway, so I just like the album made it. In short, to sum it up, I think the album was like it solidified The Weeknd as his global superstar, and that's how it'll be remembered.
Avery,
I mean, it's pretty simple for me. It is the album that made me a fan.
I just like this shit.
Like a consistent fan of The Weeknd. Like, last year I wasn't like, oh my god, I need a Weeknd album. But I think 3-4 years down the line, if we don't get any Weeknd music, I'm like,
3-4 years. I think 1-2 years down the line, I'll be like, Abel, okay,
it's time. Something. So let's speed it up. So
I don't know, he deserves a little break. I agree. I think I don't know.
3-4 years. 4 years is a long time. That's how long it's been since Rihanna.
That's 4 years. Honestly. I'm not. See, I don't need that. If you coming out with good, I'd rather them take longer and come out with good albums and do the Drake thing and come out with mediocre. Abel, take 3-4 years, come out with this fire album. We're good with that. I think that's good. We want good albums. We don't want. I don't want just music. Some people are like, I just want music. No, I want good music. Give me good music. Come back with another masterpiece 3-4 years from now. Okay, take your time, Abel. Okay, come on, take your time. I'm with that. Heck, look at Starboy to Blinding Lights. That was 4 years. 4 years.
Yeah.
And we got it. So would y'all rather get Starboy and then Dear Melancholy? No, you want another blind.
Okay, you're right. Okay, your point has been taken. Point has been taken. Okay, so that's our feelings about. I love this. Was such a cathartic episode for me as far as just doing this conversation, because I love the Weeknd. Y'all know this. We all love this album. Being able to just get that out was just so like, now I'm ready to move on with my life musically. You know,
I'm glad,
because I've been stuck on After Hours since March 30th or more, 2020. March 20th. Yeah. Okay, so Billboard highlights really quick. We talked about Justin Bieber's, and I scrutinized him a lot, but apparently the world didn't. Peaches debuted at #1 on the Hot 100.
We do like that song.
So.
It is a great song, and we do like the song. But this was the week of Justin, sort of on the Hot 100 too. He made 13 entries off of this song, and it's probably all songs you can guess. Like it's the ones we all.
That's the ain't the whole album.
That may be the whole album. I was just about to say that it could very much so.
Ain't the whole album.
But 13 tracks on here. Leave the Door Open, Pulse #3, and then The Weeknd 5 and 6. So he still has 2 songs in the top 10. One of which is Save Your Tears, which I don't know if I'm surprised by it. Like, it's a good song, but for me, it's one of those. Let me stop.
I don't feel like it. Nah, I think it's good. Nah, it's whatever.
I wish After Hours had that success.
It did.
I wish it stayed. This song. I wish it just stayed in the top 10 because it's such a.
Well, watch him. He's gonna tweet it out and post a picture of it of the music video, and he's gonna go back to #1 or some stuff. So
Wants and Needs is now the only Drake song still in the top 20, or did I do?
No, you missed
What's Next.
Where's What's Next?
Was like #8 or something like that.
Okay, so he still has 2 in the top 20. So Lemon Pepper Freestyle fell out, but that's not surprising to me because Wants and Needs was like the clear the Drake single-ish, and then the other one has Lil Baby on it, so it's that's gonna be fine. But so that's what I saw on the Hot 100. The other chart I pulled off is the alternative albums chart, and that's just to show that Lana Del Rey. We've never talked about this album, Ken Trails Over the Country Club, but I thought it was a good album. I was paying attention because she was on thin ice for me, so I needed her. The music needed to make up for it. And the one time I listened to it, I really enjoyed it. But this ties her. I pointed this out because I thought maybe this would be an Avery fun fact. This is her 5th #1 album on the alternative albums chart. Do you know who she now ties for most #1 albums on this chart? Any guesses?
Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift?
Oh no, that's a good. Taylor Swift has only had max two alternative albums.
Who'd she tie?
Foo Fighters.
Wow.
Interesting.
Yeah. There you go, Lana Del Rey.
This is a good album. It felt like I know we didn't talk about that much, and I don't know if Noah listened to it, but Nnamdi, it felt like a live album. I felt like I was listening to her just perform on stage.
It was just.
Did you listen?
I didn't, but just go.
Okay, so it felt like a live album.
No, whatever.
It's good. I enjoyed it. Lana Del Rey has been pretty consistently good for a while now. So.
Yeah, and I feel like every time I listen to a Lana Del Rey project, I wonder is she gonna be able to how is she gonna sound different? The next one, because I feel like her lane is so narrow, but she managed to find a way to make it not sound like the same thing.
It's pretty impressive. Album. I don't think it's as good as her last one because I really love the last album, but she did a good job on this.
Well, yeah. All right, then closing out with the Billboard 200, I only did this to point out that Justin Bieber also debuted here. But my question to you all is, he's #1 on Billboard 200, but my question is, at what cost? Because while Justin Bieber did debut at #1 and became the youngest male soloist, I think, to debut 8 #1 albums, and he joined the exclusive club of people who have Hot 100 and Billboard 200 debuts at the same time. While all that is said, though, this was his lowest selling album by far. At least over the last 10 years. Changes. So this Justice sold 154,000 first week, 154K. Changes sold 231K. Purpose sold 649K. And Believe sold 374K. So I'm wondering, is this because some people felt turned off like I did, or is it more likely because the bundles rule changed and you can't bundle up?
I say bundles, and I think
it may be both.
Yeah, but I think this was a less of because Changes was oh, Justin Bieber's back. I think people at this point were oh,
what Changes Justin Bieber's back?
Well, yeah, but I'm saying there was a break between music is what I mean. Okay, that's what I mean.
Can you talk about how the
Changes came out last year and now Justice? But
can you talk about how the performative MLK Justice album dethroned Morgan Wallen?
Yeah, but even that doesn't feel as cool anymore because Morgan. It was after 11 weeks, so it's like.
Oh yeah, it was kind of expected.
Like, we predicted this last week or 2 weeks ago. Right?
And it took two pop stars to take him down, Lana Del Rey and Justin Bieber.
It really did.
So.
And hey, time will tell what it does because I saw there's an account on Twitter, Hits Double Something, that predicts like Billboard placements. It has its own chart, and it says next week, Rod Wave will be number 1 and Justice will be number 2. So we may see that.
And I feel like Morgan Wallen's eventually gonna get the number back to a number 1.
Who knows? Probably. Like the fact that, and I just wonder if his contract is still indefinitely suspended because I'm sure by now the label's like, hey, look, let's just, if his fans cool with it, let's put this boy back on tour. Let's start planning.
But
we'll have to see. So that was. What's up? What'd you say?
I was gonna get to the project of the week.
I was just saying I'm done. So yeah, get to it.
Yeah. Get to it.
Like, go ahead, bro.
Nnamdi, you first. Yeah, go ahead. What's your project of the week?
Well, I picked Starboy by the Weeknd because I didn't think we were gonna talk about it that much during our deep dive, and I wanted an excuse to bring it up, but we did. I was just gonna say everything I've said already. I love this album, and it's one of I know some Weeknd fans that are older fans were turned off by it, but I enjoyed the Weeknd leaning into pop. Die For You, Rockin', I Feel It Coming, all some of my favorite songs, still out of the Weeknd's catalog. So yeah, just giving the Weeknd his credit. And I wanted an excuse to put it on the playlist this week. So a lot of Weeknd this week, guys.
This one, Joyce Wright's Overgrown. I think Lex the Rex, shout out to Lex, had this as our project of the week when we did our Women in Music roundtable. But hey, I started listening to it and I really enjoyed it a lot. Yeah, man, it's a really good project. She has some interesting features on here. She has Freddie Gibbs on here, Westside Gun. Westside Gun has an interlude. I was like, oh, and then Westside Gun, I was like, what the, huh? And then Kate Renata, Masego. I think I said Lucky Day, but yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think she's half Japanese or something like that. So that's interesting. She actually touched on that on the album. So I really enjoyed it. It was good.
No, I like that. Here's a little fun fact.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's crazy. And, there's a little song on here that says something like Japanese remix or something like that. And I was like, whoa, okay, that's random. And I was like, oh, she's half Japanese. When you look at her, you can tell too. So, yeah.
Avery, hit us with it.
Mine's Once Upon a Time by Chica. It's the EP she released like 3-ish weeks ago.
It was Grammy week, I think. It was Grammys.
Yeah.
I don't think we gave this its flowers when it came out. I mean, we said we liked it, but it's really good. Chica's incredible. So I would point out my favorite songs on it, but there's like 5 and they're all really good. So they're all my favorite songs on here. Friends with Benefits is great. That might be my favorite. And that was like a single too. So
this had Cinderella Part 1 and Part 2, right?
Yep.
Wait a second. So wait a second.
Singing in one of them.
For your playlist songs, are you just gonna put the whole EP? It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, Chica.
You could.
Yeah. You could do that. Just the whole EP.
It might be like 2 this, 2 Weeknd, and then the Olivia Rodrigo song.
Yeah, we're gonna have so much Weeknd on our playlist because all my songs are gonna be the Weeknd.
Oh, yeah, all your songs are the Weeknd. They have to basically. So, yeah.
And then we'll have Joyce Wright. So this will be a nice. I like how this playlist sounds already in my brain.
Yeah, that's good.
So be on the lookout for that on Tuesday. But that does it for us this week. Thank you for listening to another full hour and 15 minutes probably of us talking. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at the 97 Demo. If you made it this far, then you probably like us enough. So go ahead and do it. And yeah, like, share, subscribe our stuff per usual. Thank you for watching. We will be back with you next week.